Hi, Ellen Grace Henson, founder, owner of Marketing Mechanics, a business strategy, and product management consultancy. I'm so excited to be here to talk to you about consulting as a career path. In this session, we will help you identify your goals and the potential benefits and challenges of consulting, as well as key considerations for setting up and running your business, and then some resources to help you get started. First, I'd like to take you through my consulting journey. I started my professional career as an engineer and a technical manager. I wanted a bigger field to play in, so I went into some business development and product management work. And frankly, part of my motivation for going into product management was because I wanted to know more about how companies operate. And I believe that product management has the potential, as we are responsible for ensuring customers get the value they need, want, and are willing to pay for, to really align the full company on delivering that value. The company I was working for laid me off. I got a nice package, I had some time, and then they called me back, not for a full time position, but to help them with a new collaboration with another large Silicon Valley software company around building some libraries, some open source libraries. So that started me off on my consulting career. I then started to get calls from other people that I had known at that company who had subsequently moved on to other companies. And frankly, some of my best relationships have brought me repeat business as people have evolved in their career and moved to different companies. They've invited me to come and support them. So I have loved consulting because I love the variety of markets I've worked in, the variety of technologies I've worked on. I've worked in consumer and enterprise, hardware and software. I've worked from startups to Global 500. And I'm a natural systems thinker and model builder. Because I've worked across markets, I've solved the problem in one space and then solved it again in another space. I began to see that I could evolve some methodologies and frameworks that would really help enable my customers' success. So the variety and the growth has really been a wonderful journey for me in consulting. I talked to some of my other colleagues who consult about their motivations and benefits to consulting. I also talked to ChatGPT, and I want to tell you, ChatGPT came back with 3 bullet points, and my colleagues, my human colleagues, came back with this rich set of phrases that I could then turn into this word cloud. And what I want to help again ensure is that you're clear on your own goals as you chart your own path. Are you looking to fill a gap in your resume? A lot of times people come to consulting because maybe in the market it's not the best time for a full-time position. So they think, well, I'll consult for a while, then I'll go back into full-time. That's a perfectly legitimate path to take. Just understand that it's different and you will have different circumstances and different priorities as you engage in that kind of gap filling approach. Do you want to build a consulting practice? Now, building a practice is different. I've asked people, so what's motivating you to consider consulting? And the number one response, frankly, has been flexibility. We'll talk about the challenges in a bit, but flexibility is a wonderful thing. There's also some uncertainty because you now are the person responsible for getting the business, getting the projects, and building the business. Do you want a lifestyle business or do you have a growth mindset? What I mean by lifestyle, one of my colleagues has been consulting for quite a long time, and she's never been interested in growing her business beyond herself. She provides a very focused set of services to her clients, and she's happy with the amount of work that she gets, and she's happy being in that position of flexibility, managing her own time, and doing work that she loves. She doesn't feel the need to grow beyond that. You might also want to look at what level you work at. Now, what I want to ensure you is that consulting does provide a lot of growth opportunity if that's what you're working on. But for today and your first consulting gig, consider the level that you're currently working on. You'll probably want to sell one level above. Now, in my own consulting career, every few years I stop, I step back, I think, what have I learned? How can I up my game and how can I deliver even more value to my clients? So as you develop your consulting business and your consulting practice, you definitely will experience growth and you definitely will have opportunity to increase the value and increase the services you deliver if that's something you want. So we've talked a lot about the motivations and benefits, and I've told you how much I love the variety that consulting's brought me. There certainly are challenges, and we don't want to ignore those. We start consulting because of the passion we have for the work we do. That's one motivation. We, though, maybe didn't think about we have to work on our business as well as in our business. And that's one of the biggest challenges is finding that balance to make sure you're working on your business and keeping things moving forward and not just heads down on project work. So you can see in the word cloud the various types of challenges. And here's some ways that you can overcome those challenges. Make sure you define your unique value proposition. For example, mine is I help my clients better understand their markets and customers so they can build better products. And uniquely, I help cross functional teams develop a shared understanding of the customer so they can collaborate on delivering value to the customer through the full customer experience. Most of us, again, love the work we do. We don't necessarily want to be spending our time in office work, but if you have your own business, that's part of it. Working on your business means making sure the books get, making sure your emails go out and not just your clients, making sure your IT infrastructure is kept up to date and operational. You can outsource most, if not all of that. So as you're, billing clients, as you're coming up with your pricing, we talk about that a little bit more later on. Do what you can to build in margin for your overhead so that you can hire a virtual assistant, so that you can hire a bookkeeper and an accountant, that you can get somebody else to do your website and all those glorious tasks. The other opportunity you have is to look for leverage and to productize some of your services. Boilerplate, proposal, format, and language. I'm shocked at how many consultants don't have boilerplate contract or proposal format and languages. We talk about that a little bit later in more depth, a little bit later, but make sure anything that's going to be repeatable in your business, that you've got boilerplate for it. You also probably have some repeatable, packageable offerings. One of my colleagues does digital visibility work for her clients. And she found that she was typically offering her clients email campaigns with a set number of emails on a monthly basis. So I worked with her to help her productize that. She has a set price for, X or Y number of emails. Her client has a predictable budget and she has predictable revenue. Of course, she does do an assessment up front, which is a separate fee that she uses to get familiar with the client, familiar with their voice and the topics that they most keenly want to write promotional material about. So look for the things that you want to do and whether you have stuff that's repeatable and packageable. You can subcontract to extend your offering. Now, some of the services I offer my clients, like customer insight, I can execute that. I can, though, hire somebody else to do more detailed surveys. I'm not the expert. I might be able to do a good job at designing a survey, but I'm not the expert at executing a survey. So I would subcontract something like that out. Build an ecosystem of subcontractors and referral partners, people that you might want to bring in to your team for larger projects, people who might want to bring you onto their team for projects, and referral partners, people you can refer business to, people who will refer business to you. And your referral partners don't have to be within your domain. I have a colleague who is a fractional CFO. Now, I don't touch the finance department other than to work to get their insight on customers and the financial conditions their customers face. But my colleague, as a fractional CFO, if it's a startup, if it's a growing business that needs more financial support, I can refer her into that. So your ecosystem could encompass all the different needs that your clients might have. And that's another way that you increase the value and build a relationship with your clients. Be clear on the impact that labor laws, tax laws, contracts, and insurance might have on your business. Now, a lot of times, the state and the feds have been tightening up the definition of employee versus contractor or consultant. Be clear of what's going on in your state and what's going on the national level. There have been some variances and some carve-outs, but still your specific work may or may not come up in one of those carve-outs. So many large companies, in order to get past that challenge, they outsource a lot of their contract and consulting work. And those agencies typically like to hire people on a W-2 basis, which means you won't have the same tax benefits that you have as an independent consultant. Some people that I know might work 1 year both W-2 and 1099. So it's much simpler to build relationships if you actually have a corporation of one sort or another, so corp to corp. Now, I'm not a lawyer, nor am I an accountant, so please don't take any of this as legal or financial advice, just pointing you in the right direction. When you look at contracts that your clients hand you, understand that you can negotiate and you can excise any particular clauses and such that you don't feel you can agree with or that might be unenforceable. I've seen clients contracts where they put like I had a 5-year non-compete. Nope, sorry, can't commit to 5-year non-compete. And at a minimum, develop some boilerplate for your proposals, including clauses on your fees, how you're going to manage scope creep, and what expenses are not included in your fees. In order to build consulting success, you really have 3 key best practices, as discovered by the Women in Consulting Best Practices Research. Personal connections are critical. Don't building transactions, focus on building relationships. You want to stay in touch with your current colleagues and build new relationships as you move forward. And you want to interact with people on both the business and personal levels. I'll tell you, after consulting for 20 years, the opportunity to work with people that I like, I'm much more attracted to those type of projects. So, send people cards, make sure that they're aware that you're aware of them as a human being. A strong digital presence is a must. Whether it's podcasts, videos, speaking, writing, make sure you're also sharing posts from other people. Supporting other people is a great way to raise your visibility and theirs, and also build that relationship with them. Above all, remain flexible and adapt as situations change. New technologies come out. ChatGPT is a very timely example. Your clients are probably wondering, how can they leverage ChatGPT? Is ChatGPT a threat to their jobs? You might be wondering how ChatGPT might transform the work you do. That's an important trend. It's an important functionality right now. Make sure you're on top of it and track other trends for growth potential. I have a colleague who went and got her master's degree in a completely new field because she saw that as an opportunity for her to grow her knowledge and grow her practice. As I was preparing this talk, people were saying, you have to talk about fees. Everybody's going to want to know you have to talk about fees. So when it comes to fees, be confident, know your worth, sell big and don't undercharge. Women have a tendency, and research has shown, to charge less than men for the same or similar work. And again, Women in Consulting does this best practices research, and these details come from that research. People either do hourly fees, a retainer, or a project fee. I recommend, unless you're on a retainer with a client, that you do project fees. Project fees give your clients more control over the budget. It helps you understand the revenues that are coming in. And if you can increase your productivity, you'll increase your margin on your project. Research the typical fees in your domain. Competitive research, just as you might do for your employers today. Price for value, not your time. Understand the value that you deliver. When you define outcomes, define them in context of value, whether it's qualitative or quantitative. And if you can, infer or calculate a probable ROI. I had a client recently who had a much too narrow perspective on their customer, on the consumer in the consumer electronics realm. And I went in and helped them through a variety of techniques familiar to most of you, if not all of you, I'm sure, really expand their perspective on their customer. Thus, they could expand their market positioning, their market campaigns, etc. They went from not making their revenue goals to doubling revenue in the subsequent year. Now, I can't certainly claim 100% responsibility for doubling their revenues, but I know I contributed to that. My client confirmed that I contributed to that. So in their extra, $5 million of revenue, what percentage of the work I did helped them get to that new milestone? That's where you can start to really get a handle on, hey, client, is $5 million of incremental revenue worth $200,000? Those are the types of conversations you need to have and that you need to sort out for yourself. Also, be really clear that deliverables and outcomes are different. The example I have here, 3 personas versus a deeper understanding of the customer. Charge a portion of your fees up front. That will help you with cash flow. It will help ensure that the client is really committed to the project. And if you do have subcontractors, it will enable you to make timely payments and manage that scope creep. When you're working in a company and project scope changes, we kind of accept that. But when you're getting paid for a particular scope and the scope changes, make sure you're renegotiating your fees and your schedule. Most importantly, build a community to sustain you. One of the key challenges I've had, and I know others have had as a consultant, is you do feel like you're on your own and you can start to feel isolated. Professional associations abound. There's a lot of support out there, building relationship with other consultants, joining a professional association, etc. Women in Consulting is the professional association I'm most engaged with. We really focus on the power of community and women helping each other succeed. We offer a lot of content and events to help build relationships and help us all solve shared problems, like how do I manage my customer information? How do I use ChatGPT in my business? Women in Consulting also does best practices research, and we have a Consulting 101 video series available to you to help you orient on building your business. Another organization that I've had a lower level participation with is the Professional Independent Consultants of America. They are definitely nuts and bolts about launching and running your consulting business. The Institute of Management Consultants is also a very high prestige, excellent organization. They focus a lot on the ethics of consulting, and they offer certification for top tier consultants. I want to say, most importantly, take care of yourself. Save for the lean times. Give yourself time off. Make sure you pay yourself, a salary enough to live on, health care insurance, and all those benefits that you get as an FTE. You still deserve them and need to pay for them as a consultant. There's more information on resources in the handout, which is available to you. Please do join me in my interactive session. I'm sure you have a lot more questions about consulting as a career path. My contact information is here and my QR code for my LinkedIn profile. Pro tip, if you're going to invite somebody to connect with you on LinkedIn, tell them why, tell them how you met, tell them what motivates you to ask them to connect. That will help you track them better as a contact, and it will help them understand better how they might be able to support your success. Again, thank you so much for this opportunity. It's been awesome.